Hi, and welcome to the Stern Star Trek Tunatorial here. My name is McSirTuna with Buffalo Pinball, and I'm going to go over the Stern Star Trek Premium machine today and explain the different aspects of how this game is played, as well as giving you an example of how I end up playing the game. I'm going to start by going over the multi-balls to begin. And then I'm going to go over the different modes within the game and then finish out by pointing out any of the different extras that are scattered around the playfield that are worth knowing about. That being said, once that's done, I'm going to do a explanation of my strategy of how I would generally play the game when I walk up to it. And then I'll do an example game with commentary as I'm playing through it. And hopefully that'll go well enough that you can get a good idea of maybe an idea. You can walk up to the game and try playing it that way if you're looking to play it for the first time or you haven't had much time on it. So let us begin by going over the main features of most games, which people will be interested in, which is the multi-ball. For the most part, there are two main multi-balls on this game. You have the Klingon Multi-Ball, which is your standard green light lock, and then lock 3 balls to start. And then you have Vengeance Multi-Ball, which is by going up the middle section. We're going to start with Klingon Multi-Ball and demonstrate that. And then we'll do Vengeance. Vengeance has got a little bit more depth in terms of what it is, and I'm going to talk about all the aspects of the Vengeance at that time, so we'll save that for a second. All right. So when you start a game, you hit the start button, and you're left with immediately having to choose one of the 6 modes that are available. To get started, I'm not going to really pay much mind to it. I'm going to just pick Prime Directive for whatever, and we're going to talk about that stuff later. So right now the focus is going to be just on Klingon Multi-Ball. So to kick it off, this is a 3-flipper game. You have your 2 at the bottom, your upper flipper, very Steve Ritchie-esque layout. And it's more or less 8 main shots on the game with a generalized kind of fan layout where you have an additional upper flipper ramp that loops around. And then you have a upper flipper, under flipper shot, which is unique and used quite a bit in this game, to be perfectly honest. All right. So to kick it off, we're going to go for this Klingon Multi-Ball. In order to do that, you have this 3 bank of light lock targets on the middle left side. The object is to hit all 3 targets to complete the bank, and that's going to light your 2 lock areas on the table. One of which is going to be right up the middle, and you're going to have a green lock arrow. And then the other is going to be on the left side here, and you're also going to have a green lock arrow. So I'm going to just plunge the ball and we'll get started. You can see that they're flashing right now. What we're looking to do is hit those. You can see I've already hit the bottom one. And under most circumstances when you're playing this game, what's going to end up happening is you're not going to go for hitting these light lock targets specifically, but as the ball bounces around, you're going to tend to find that you hit them and the locks will light as you're playing. So under most circumstances, you're going to hit them with your upper flipper, but there's also the possibility that you might hit them with a tight backhand that could go across that or from the other side. So I'm going to do my best here to try to light these locks as quickly as possible. One thing you can notice is if you hit the left spinner orbit and we go around, if I hold up the upper flipper, it very well might just go straight into that light lock target bank. So I'm not going to really pay too much mind on starting another mode at this moment, to be honest. So we're just going to do a little bit of whatever in hopes to try to hit these light locks. There we go. So once you've completed the bank, you can see that it actually lit both of the light lock spots. Now the first time you go to play Klingon Multi-Ball, as long as it's set to default settings, both of those will be lit, and you can actually lock one in each, which will let you lock 2 of your 3 balls that you need. So if I just shoot up the center, that'll light 1 lock. Ball 1 locked, and it's going to drop down. We're going to get a hold of it there, and you can still see I've got the other one lit there. Now I can still go back and hit the light lock targets as well. That 3 bank is still available. And if we do that, that'll end up relighting our light locks. Especially right now, we only have 1 that we still need to relight. Let's see if we can do this. Hold the upper flipper, and almost. That didn't have enough pizzazz on it. Let's see if we can... Oh, there we go. That'll work. Alright, so now we've got both locks lit again. So let's go for this one over here on the left. There we go. And almost. And we'll just drain there. We're only going to need to do this with this game, so that'll be alright. Alright, so here we go. It started another mode, that's fine, not worried about that. All we care about right now is locking these for Klingon. So there we go, there's our second one. So now I have the opportunity to start the multi-ball by going into our third lock that's lit. And you can see that the light lock bank is still lit for flashing, which means I can relight that lock up the center again if I wanted to. So I completed the bank yet again. And now I've got both lit. You can see that the light lock bank is done now because there's no more locks to light. So as soon as I hit either of these shots, it's going to start the multi-ball. And it's going to be a 3-ball multi-ball. So let me do that. Here we go. So this multi-ball actually has a sequence of events that are going to occur that you want to complete. So each of the 6 main shots around the table, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, sorry, 7 shots around the table are flashing. Each time you hit one of them, that's 2, you'll get a jackpot. Once you hit a shot twice, that shot disappears. So you've got the different colors flashing for the modes, but the red is flashing for this Klingon Multi-Ball. So let's see if we can separate these here. So that's number 4. Try to get fancy and save that. There we go. All right, so I got a super jackpot, which means now there's only 6 left. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, you've got the 2 shots on the left. Well, actually, you got your leftmost shot. You got your spinner orbit. You've got your warp ramp, which is your looping ramp. You've got your left ramp, which is your alpha quadrant. The center shot, which is your vengeance shot. Your right ramp, beta quadrant. Right orbit. All those shots to be able to make. So that's another one there. Oh, that's unfortunate. So this is one aspect of going through something like this, which I like to leave a little bit. I don't want to just demonstrate everything. What I'd like to do is show you exactly how to explore the game in a way that you'll be able to find out the rest of the stuff you need to for yourself. So if you get out of the Klingon Multi-Ball, You can get back into it by continuing to do the same thing. You complete the 3 bank of light lock targets, which will light your lock shots, and then you can go ahead and lock them. Now, we already locked one, but something you might have noticed is that the other shot for light lock is no longer lit. So each time you complete Klingon Multi-Ball, it will make it at least a little bit harder to start it the following time. So now, I would have to complete that 3 bank again in order to light a second lock, and then complete the 3 bank again in order to light a third lock. Alright, so I'm going to let that drain out. And we'll just end this and we'll get on to the next thing. So that's Klingon Multi-Ball. One more thing I'd like to say about that, though, is at least when you're playing Klingon Multi-Ball, you've got a certain number of jackpots to collect. Once you're halfway there, you'll collect a super jackpot. Once you get the rest of the way there, you'll collect, I believe, another super jackpot. And there's an additional set of shots that it wants you to make in order to kind of finish and collect the, I think it's like double super jackpot or something like that. But it is very rewarding to kind of complete Klingon Multi-Ball, if you will. If you do complete it, you'll loop through it again. It'll just keep going. But there's a lot of satisfaction in actually trying to more or less complete it, if you will. So it's not just a multi-ball that doesn't offer you anything to do, but completing the sequence of shots does significantly give you a decent amount of points. And I'll leave that for the user to discover the rest of that. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is talk about Vengeance Multi-Ball. So before I talk about Vengeance Multi-Ball, there's one more thing that I need to mention because it's going to play into that, and I don't want to wait until afterwards and explain it. So we're going to start with Prime Directive again, not going to pay too much mind there. But on the right side of the play field, there's another 3 bank of targets for increasing power and weapons. Now, in the middle, there's a 7 set of triangles, or 8 set of triangles, sorry, that represent your photon lasers, I do believe. And in order to fill that up and collect those, you need to complete that 3 bank of target. 3 bank target on the right. Every time you complete that 3 bank target, you will collect 3 lasers, which will be represented in the middle. So let's see if we can get lucky enough here to collect that set to demonstrate. There you go. So this is another one of those things where you're normally not trying to go for it, but as you play, you know, the ball is going to bounce off of various things, slingshots. You know, you might miss a shot and end up shooting it into that bank. And over time, you'll collect these. So sometimes you can see that people playing this might just jam down on their fire punch it button in order to use these things up. That doesn't really do a whole lot for you unless they're used for a reason. And once you understand how to use them, it'll make a lot more sense when you can use them and when maybe you should use them. And we'll talk more about that at the end in the strategy portion. So you can see I completed the bank twice. I've got 6 of these lasers available. And I'm going to use these lasers to get to my Vengeance Multi-Ball a little bit faster. So I mentioned before that Vengeance Multi-Ball is triggered by shooting right up the middle. You have a drop target there that leads to a magnet in the back. Every time you hit the drop target, it's going to make progress towards starting Vengeance Multi-Ball. Now, it hit some other stuff, so it didn't show us the progress. But let's see if we can hit it again and get these other animations out of the way. There you go. One more to access Vengeance popped up there. So I believe it's like 5 hits initially. And once you hit those 5 hits, it will keep the drop target down in order for you to start the multi-ball. Now, this is actually an interesting point here. You can see that we've hit the light lock targets for Klingon Multi-Ball, and now you can light the lock at either of those spots. So right now that drop target's down, we can't make progress towards Vengeance Multi-Ball. Except you can use the photon lasers that you've collected from the right bank towards making progress without actually having to make the shot. So I do note that we only had one shot we needed left to make in order to start Vengeance Multi-Ball, or at least allow us to start Vengeance Multi-Ball. That being said, I could shoot it up the middle and collect my lock for Klingon, which will finish that out and then bring the drop target back up, allowing me to hit it again in order to get to Vengeance Multi-Ball. Or we can use one of our photon lasers, which is what we're going to do. So I'm going to hit the punch it button on your lockdown bar here, and that's going to give us one shot towards Vengeance. So Vengeance Multi-Ball is ready. So that's going to trump the light lock up the center and just say Vengeance Multi-Ball is ready to go as soon as we're ready. So Vengeance Multi-Ball ready, shoot the Vengeance. They want you to shoot the center. And as soon as we do that, it's going to trigger to start the multi-ball. This is, at its base, a 2-ball multi-ball, but can be brought to a 3-ball multi-ball. So as soon as you make this shot up the center, it's going to grab it with the magnet and hold it in place. All we got to do is make that shot. Lock one for Klingon, that's fine.
Damn it, Jim, don't manhandle it.
Almost. Almost. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, here we go. And there. Alright, so it's going to launch another ball out, and it'll give you 15 seconds in order to hit that frozen ball sitting on the magnet. If you can hit that ball within 15 seconds, this will play out as a 3-ball multi-ball rather than a 2-ball multi-ball. Boom. Made contact. Beautiful. So it'll launch another ball out. So the way this ends up working is you've got a health meter of this ship at the... Let me get a control there. At the bottom there. If you're trying to actually fill the bar rather than deplete it, so don't get too confused there. And you've got 3 main shots that you can make. You've got the 2 ramps, which I just made one of them, so it's unlit, and then you got the center shot. So in order to fill that bar up, you keep making these shots over and over. So let's see if we can demonstrate that. All right. So I did a few things there in a little bit of a panic. One, I did an add-a-ball by hitting the black hole target, which we haven't talked about. I was going to save that for later. But you can get an add-a-ball by hitting the black hole target, which is more or less your randomizer, or mystery award, if you will. If you're in a multi-ball and you hit the black hole target, it will more or less always give you an add-a-ball the first time. So now let's see if I can... We got that bar lit up a bit there. So we can still shoot up the center. Or we have our photon laser still available. While in Vengeance Multi-Ball, you can use those lasers to attack. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to, since I got this camera in the way, I'm going to bring a foot up and use one of those bad boys. You can see that bar is up. Now, the bar is close to being full. I still have another laser left, but it won't let me use it. The last shot, in order to destroy the Vengeance, you got to make it on your own. So you got to shoot one up the middle. And that was apparently good enough to count it. After you've completed that, you'll get a bonus, and then you get a chance to do some victory laps. Unfortunately, I didn't survive long enough to do the victory laps, but that's okay. All right, so I did mention that I wanted to talk about more about Vengeance than just the initial multi-ball. So Vengeance itself is actually 3 different modes stacked in order. So it's kind of like 3 different levels. And the first level is always the Vengeance multi-ball. The second level is a bit of a... it's almost like a little bit of a hurry-up attack mode. Let's see if I can work towards triggering in the second one. So in order to access the different Vengeance modes, they work in the same manner. You gotta lock balls, or not lock balls, but you gotta keep hitting the center drop target. Unfortunately, if I shoot the center target, it's gonna take me to the Klingon Multi-Ball, which we'll just drain out of. I'm fine with that. I'm actually going to use this opportunity to collect some more weapons here to try to work towards, hey, look at that. It's not showing them at the moment because they can't really be used in this multi-ball, but they'll be there once we exit this multi-ball. Don't you worry. So I'm just going to haphazardly keep shooting. Jackpot. We managed to nail a super jack. Get it. Yeah, look at that. Alright. We'll just see if we can let that go. Get out of here. Boom. You're done. Alright, so now the drop target's back up. We can start making progress. Oh, I lied to myself. We got no progress on those.
This we will not forgive.
I was mistaken. Alright, well, there you go. Now we grab some progress. And we'll let that one go. We should have another ball. So now if we keep hitting that center target, it'll make progress towards Vengeance 2, if you will. We'll just call it that.
All right, I'm going to give you one more.
And the same as we did with the first one, you can use your lasers in order to make free progress. So let's see. 5 more to access Vengeance, and I've got 3 more lasers left. That should be 4 more because we just hit that one. And 3, 2, 1, and I wasn't able to get to it. Well, that's unfortunate. All right. I tried my best to show off more than the first one, but once again, it's one of those scenarios where I'm going to leave a little bit for the end user. I want you to understand that there's 3 levels to get to. And I will say a little bit about what you want to do with that and why, and I'll probably cover that more in the strategy part at the end. So know that there's 3 levels of Vengeance. The first one's a multi-ball. The second is a hurry-up, not a multi-ball. And the third one is, I believe, not a multi-ball, but more of just a shooting mode, if you will. And I'll talk about that a little bit later in the strategy part, because in terms of long play, you might not see it that often unless you have a fairly long game. And it gets to a point where it actually can kind of become more of a hindrance than a mode you actually want to have go off and play. So, we covered the 2 main multi-balls in the game, which is the Klingon from the main light lock and the Vengeance, which is up the middle. We've talked about how to get lasers and how to use those lasers. One neat thing about the lasers is to kind of keep in mind, hey, use them mainly for getting to start those Vengeance modes. You know, if instead of trying to shoot the center to get the hits you need to do Vengeance multi-ball, use the lasers to get yourself one shot away so you can start it when you want to start it. Same with Vengeance 2, especially if you have a game that goes a little longer than the last one. A lot of times I'll just save the lasers. I won't use them in the multi-ball. I'll save them so I can start the second Vengeance mode whenever I want. Because a full set of lasers will beast right through all those shots you would need. All right, so now we're going to go into the biggest portion, which is the meat and potatoes, the modes aspect, this whole section right down here. This is the part where a lot of the explanation can honestly be stated by shoot the flashing lights. And there's some truth to be had to that statement. In most pinball games, if you ask somebody how do you play this, one of the quintessential answers that you may hear is shoot the flashing lights. And you know, it's not the worst thing to follow either. It is nice when the game can do a good enough job at showing the player what they need to do by just looking down at the game. And I will definitely give it props for that. It does a good job of explaining to you as a player, what do I need to shoot when I'm playing each of these different modes. The means of how the shots are given to you and the sequence and the order and which ones you need to hit, which ones may be more valuable, are going to change based on what mode you play, which is what gives it the variety and the feel that these 6 or actually 18 modes all play a little bit differently. That's where that all comes from. And that being said, I'll say up front, I'm not going to go through all 18 modes and show you exactly how all 18 play. That's something you as a player can do for yourself and is a fun thing to experience and go through. What I want you to do as the player is understand what it is you're actually selecting and what it means to select the different modes and how that can benefit you and how you want to choose which ones you go for. A lot of the fun I've had in playing Star Trek is literally saying, oh, I want to play only Prime Directive mode. I want to go through all 3 of them. Or I want to try to do, get to the first wizard mode. So when we were talking about completing objectives as a whole, these modes are where your main meat is. It's how you achieve your mini wizard modes or your wizard modes. And in this instance, I'd honestly call it wizard modes and main wizard mode. I'd say the game kind of has 3 wizard modes in a way. It's, but that's up for interpretation. So that being said, you've got the 6 modes listed here in the base area. You've got Prime Directive, Klingon Battle, Space Jump, Destroy the Drill, Nero, and Save the Enterprise. Each of them are represented to a specific color, which will tie in nicely. You might have noticed, obviously, as the modes were playing, when we were playing a multi-ball, the shots around the table use those colors in order to tell you what shots are available and to which mode or thing that you're doing it represents. So you can have a multi-ball and a mode running at the same time, and you can have shots overlapping, and you can clearly tell that, hey, this shot counts for both of those things, which is nice. As long as you don't do Klingon Multi-Ball and Klingon Battle at the same time, and both are red. Outside of that, it's fairly clear. All right, so the thing that generally I think becomes the most important is understanding, one, what mode do you select, what benefits are there of doing that, and why do you select which mode you want to play. I'll hear that, well, which mode is the best to play, or which mode should I select? Each of them kind of have a little bit of difficulty that differs from particular mode to mode. Some can offer more points, some can offer easier time to play through. But what really drives me through playing through the modes, and this is me particular, and I would like to think that most people would probably enjoy playing it this way, or the game would drive them to want to play it this way. But the game has a bronze, silver, and gold medal system built into playing through the modes. So as you're playing a particular mode, as you're making the shots to complete the mode, you are graded by how well you're doing. In some instances, it's about how many shots you make or which shots you make. So we'll cover that a little bit too, because I feel like that's, to me, the biggest drive in Star Trek's modes is the greed that comes from wanting to do well and collect those bronze, silver, and gold medals. Getting those gold medals is satisfying. So let's just start by going through a couple modes, and I'll explain, one, how it's going, and two, just so you'd see collecting those medals. So to be said, there's 6 main modes to pick, but each mode has 3 levels to it. And sometimes you'll hear people say, you're going to take Prime Directive 3 deep. That's going from levels 1, level 2, and level 3. And they always play in the same order and sequence. So Prime Directive 1 needs to be completed before you can play Prime Directive 2, before you can play Prime Directive 3. And it's not like it's randomized as to when you play Prime Directive, which one of those 3 you get. It's 1 is always 1, 2 is always 2, and 3 is always 3. And general fair rule is each one going deeper is a little bit more challenging than the one prior. So playing any of these 6 modes to start, you're playing on level 1 of any of these. And, you know, it's, for the most part, that's perfectly fine to just play the level 1s of each of these, as they're going to be the easier modes to play. But they all have good variety to them. That's where it's fun to try different stuff out. So let's get started here. One nice thing about Prime Directive is it's very straightforward. You can see right now that there's 7 shots on the table lit, the 6 main shots in the warp ramp, which is number 7. And basically, if the shot is flashing like that, that means you can shoot it for progress within the mode. One nice thing about all the level 1s, they all work in a very similar way towards bronze, silver, and gold completion. And as straightforward as it is, it's make 3 shots and you'll get a bronze medal. Make 6 shots and you'll get a silver medal, and make 9 shots and you get a gold medal. So the first set of levels is that way for all 6 modes, which makes it pretty easy to comprehend once you know that that's how it works. Now, in addition, all the level 1 modes are timed. So you have a certain amount of time to make that 3, 6, or 9 shots, which making 9 shots in, say, 30-ish seconds is can be a little taxing and can be a little bit challenging. It could rush you to try to make shots and you end up missing stuff and you end up losing the ball and draining. That's not uncommon. So there is some challenge to be said and greed with wanting to go and continue to make shots as that timer's ticking down. But there are a couple ways to assist yourself in completing some of these modes, which we'll talk about as we go through here. So let me just do this particular one to start. Actually, I'm going to cheat. We're going to do Klingon first, and then we're going to do Prime Directive second, and I'll show you why. So Klingon Battle, we're just going to play it out as it is. You can see now this is only has 5 of the shots lit. So you got 3 over here and 2 over here. So let's go for it. Let's see how many we can get in this 30-ish seconds. So you got the timer on the screen as well. It counts down in kind of slow time. As a default, you can't just hold the ball and let the timer time out either. You have to constantly be moving. So we made 1 shot. You can see that... whoop. There's 2. 1 more will get us a bronze medal. There's 3. We're almost out of time as well. So you can see this time's actually going kind of quick, right? So that's 3. So we only made 3 shots. I want to hopefully crap up here so I can demonstrate something. Well, we made a final shot. Alright, that's fine. That's gone. So, as you run out of time, it's going to sit there and say final shot. It'll light up a significant number of shots around the table. And basically, you have 1 last shot. So, say if you made 8 shots and it timed out, or 5 shots and it timed out, you always have that final shot where it'll sit there for more or less infinite time as you're in need of making a final shot. It's a good way to let you kind of get 1 more shot in, even if the timer's getting at you. So I made 3 shots there. We got a bronze medal. It said it out loud as we made that third shot. I headed last final shot, which got me to 4, but not enough to get a silver medal. And that's fine. But as I mentioned, there is a means of improving your odds at collecting that gold medal. And my plan is to demonstrate that here with Prime Directive. All right, so we're going to launch it here and get going with Prime Directive. And once again, all 7 shots are lit, ready to go. So all we got to do is make any shot. All right, we made 1 shot. One thing you might recognize that you'll hear, and you'll hear it quite a bit when you play, is it said Galactic Away Team is lit. After you make 1 shot,
Jim, we're getting closer.
it will light Away Team, which is this blue arrow that aims under your upper flipper. Now, after you make a single shot, that'll be lit, and you have the option to hit that. Now, right now, my timer is not going down because I haven't not moving the ball, so we're at 19 seconds. So now I have an opportunity to go for this away team shot by shooting it under the upper flipper and back into the shooter lane. What that's going to do is a few things, actually, and it's going to be different for each of the 6 modes. And this can only be done on the level 1 version of these modes. So here's what you got to do. You put it in there, and it will add 20 seconds onto your timer, which, once again, so you basically go from 30 to 50 seconds total. But then it's also going to change up the way that the shots end up working. And some of these will change in a way that's easier, some will change in a way that's more challenging. Prime Directive, in my opinion, is much easier, so let's go for it.
Jim, they're right behind us.
We missed it once, but we can get another shot at it. Almost there the second time. No pressure. And there we go. Shoot top lanes. 20 seconds added. So it wants you to shoot the top lanes at the top, but you can also see it's lit on the orbits leading to them. So now I just got to shoot the lit shots. So I'll get 1 shot for that, and then I'll go through the top lanes and get credit for a second shot. So I made 1 shot, but I got credit for 2. And that, to me, is why it's so much easier to do Prime Directive after you've made the away team. There's another one. And then there's a second one. So we're up to silver medal. Let's go one more time. Boom, we did it a 3rd time, and gold medal. So once you achieve a gold medal, you'll get 1 final shot. One thing you might notice when you look under most of them, pretty much 5 of these, on your final shot, you'll have one that's flashing with a second color. So on Prime Directive, it's going to be right ramp. So if I shoot right ramp, I will technically get more points than I would for the other ones. Honestly, I don't know what the difference in points is, but just know that it's more. I usually don't stress out and try to do that. I just make a shot in order to progress. Speaking of which, once we've finished a mode, notice that I haven't just randomly started another mode. What it'll do is it'll light the 2 mission start lights in order for you to start a new mission. You can either shoot to the left over here if you're on the right flipper, or shoot under the away team, which we used before, in order to start a new mission. So you're going to get used to shooting it under that flipper with either using away team or restarting missions. Now I'm going to use this opportunity while I held the ball there to talk. So, or I won't. Get in there. All right, so once it gets in there, you'll have an opportunity to go through and select whatever mission you want. So let's go and we'll do Destroy the Drill. And there's a little perk if we finish this, and I'll mention that when it happens. So here we go. We're going to do Destroy the Drill. So all these end up working differently, but once again, which is nice, is you can follow the lights and know where to shoot. You don't have to remember and understand them all. Just know, I see these are lit. It's to that light blue teal color. And those are the ones I need to shoot. Hey, that one lit. All right, we made a shot. That's 1. That's 2. We got 12 seconds left. There's 3. That should be a bronze medal. There's 4. There's 5. Oh, and then I lost. It's all right. I believe we got another ball. So, and I didn't mention this before during away team, and I'll mention this now once I got a moment to talk. So, since I drained the ball, I can pick up where I left off. I've made 5 shots so far, so 1 more shot will get me my silver medal. And even if I ran out of time, my final shot could get me my silver medal at 6 shots as well. Now, I could also go for away team and add 20 seconds on. When you shoot the away team shot, that actually will count towards a shot for progression towards your medal. So if I shot the away team shot, that would be shot number 6, give me my silver, and then I just need 3 more to finish out the gold. Another thing is, if you do the away team and you're playing through with that extra time and you drain, you will not get to pick up where you left off on your next ball on that mission. The mission will end. So you consider that either a perk or a pro or a con. It's up to you. Pro being the mission's over, which means you can move towards completing more missions and ideally completing as many as you can. Con being you can't go back to it and work towards getting a gold medal. So personal preference there if you want to call that a pro or a con. But that is the thing about away team is it'll count as a shot. It will change the rules. It will add 20 seconds. And if you drain, it will end the mode. So there you go. That's the away team. Thing is, the game doesn't really tell you about away team, and I'm going to leave the changes of rules for the 6 different main modes to you to kind of look into yourself, and you'll learn which ones you like more than others. And I'll kind of talk about it obviously a little bit more as I'm playing the example game later and talking about my personal strategy and usually what I like to do. But yeah, that's away team. So let's try to finish this mode out though. Just got to get control of this ball. All right, so here we go. Final shot. So I'm actually going to go for this left one, which is more points, but it will take me immediately to the next mission start. So if I make a different shot, I'll have to still shoot one of these mission start hits. So I can shoot here, finish the mode, and get ready to start the next mission. I can shoot it under the flipper, which will do the same. So let's go for under the flipper instead. Hey, look at that. All right, so I did do 3 in a row in this triangle of things. You can say 3 in a row. Complete. So I got a silver medal. Super pop bumpers lit. So super pop bumpers will come from doing 3 in a row on the left side. If you do 3 in a row on the right side, prime directive, space jump, save the Enterprise, that will give you super ramps. Oh, thank you for that. And if you do the 3 bottom, destroy the drill, Nero, and save the Enterprise.
Dare shake the Klingon Empire?
That will give you super spinner. So if you were wondering what the captain's chair is, which I think is kind of weird that they've got this giant insert called captain's chair. Captain's chair refers to basically if you have a super pops, super ramps, or super spinner active. I have the super pops active, and let's see if we can go into the pops right now. We did not. So in this instance here, I'm going to go for away team. Galactic Vengeance. This one's the most different of all 6 of them. If you go to the away team, oh, you can see the super pops animation up there. If you go to Space Jump's away team, it leaves you with just a single shot up at the Vengeance. If you make that shot, it ends the mode. That's it. It's one and done. But I'm only going to get a silver medal. I'm not going to get the gold medal. In order to get the gold medal and do that, you'll have to have already been at a silver medal. So it can be a little bit extra to get the gold in that. But I do like the fast completion of Space Jump using away team. And I'll definitely be demonstrating that again later. Alright, we got... Let's trying to start another mode. Let's do Save the Enterprise.
Commander, our ship's hot against spec. Systems are failing. Hold on.
Alright, so the timer's going. He's running. You basically have 3 shots lit on the table here. Once you make one, it's going to light 3 different shots. And now we made that, so 3 other shots.
We have to get back to the warp core.
Alright, that's 3 shots, so that'll be our bronze medal. And we got 4 seconds, 3, 2. I'm just going to let it stop at 2. We'll make one more shot just for kicks. See if we can make one more. Oh, unfortunately, that's 5. So just a bronze medal. Alright. Here we go. Nero. So this is the last of the 6. If we complete all the level 1s, this is how you get to that first wizard mode. So let's see if we can do that. That first wizard mode is called Kobayashi Maru. It's a very achievable wizard mode to work towards getting to. Now we did add more time through our mystery black hole edition, which, for better for worse, and now I've actually started Klingon Multi-Ball while that mode is running. So now you can see this instance again where you've got your pink shots lit, flashing with the red shots of the Klingon Multi-Ball. So here's a spot where maybe it's, whoa. Oh, and there that goes. Well, we don't get to show Kobayashi Maru on that particular game. But there's an instance of playing through the level 1 modes. I'm going to do one more so I show off the idea of playing through a particular mode 3 deep, or levels 1, 2, and 3. So let's go through that now.
Welcome aboard.
Space Jump.
All right, so you could do any one of these. I am going to do. Let's do Space Jump. I tend to find that to be one of the easiest ones to get through. So Space Jump level 1. Let's go for that, and we're going to try to get through it pretty quickly, without losing a ball, preferably. So first thing I'm going to do is make a lit shot. And then I'm going to go for the away team.
There's another object dead ahead. Are you all right?
If I can. Keep that alive. Or I just fumble around long enough that the timer finishes out without me. That's another way to do it. Yeah, let's just go for that second thing I said, where we just fumble around long enough that the timer wears out. 2, 1, and final shot. So now I'll go for away team, and that'll end the mode. And by that I mean I'll go for the other side. Just kidding. Away team it is. Alright. That'll get me a bronze medal though, because that was 3 shots. 2 shots and then the final shot to get started another mode. So as you click around, you can see I can select level 1s of the ones I haven't played, or Space Jump 2. So Space Jump 2 is not, well, actually this particular one is timed, but if you run out of time, you start back where you left off again until you've actually finished it. So you have to finish all the level 2 and level 3 modes. There's no timing it out. If you time it out, you still got to finish it. So this is only 6 shots. So you can see right now you've got 4 shots on the table, all flashing yellow. As soon as we make one of them, now you're going to have 1 shot at the table that's going to flash a dual color. If you make that shot, once again, I've now got 2 more shots lit, and one's flashing a dual color, one is not. When you hit the dual color shots, that is actually how you get progress towards getting the medals. So if I were to shoot the single color shot, I can shoot all 6 of them that way, but I won't get any medals. And you can see the time ran out and it just ended the mode. So I got to pick up where I left off and finish it. So if you want medals in the Space Jump level 2 or level 3, you have to shoot specific shots. You can't just shoot any shot. So Space Jump 2, you start off again. I only have 4 shots left, but none of them are lit with the special flashing. Alright, now we got a flashing one, which we missed. And now we got another flashing one over there. Let's go for that one. There we go. And we got a silver medal. And we hit the last flashing one, but unfortunately that wasn't enough. You need to actually hit 4 flashing ones for the gold. It's 1 for bronze, 2 for silver, and 4 for gold. So we only got a silver, but that's all right. Now we can start another mode. And now we can go Space Jump 3. Space Jump 3 is once again going to do something similar, where in order to get the medals, silver, bronze, gold, I have to hit the flashing shots, just not the regular. So this one is, once again, it's time, 30 seconds, but 8 shots left. So I've only got those 2 available. All right. So now I've got right orbit and warp ramp. Warp ramp, of course, is the flashing one because they're going to make the tough one the flashing one. Because this is level 3. This isn't baby game time. All right, there we go. So now you can see I've only got 1 shot available. We made that. Now, once again, my flashing shot is on warp ramp. So you want those medals, you got to earn them. We just keep plucking people off here.
Black hole is ready.
And that's another nice thing, is if you run out of time, that's okay. You'll pick up where you left off. So that's 2 shots to go now. Also, I'd like to say that the DMD animations in Star Trek are outstanding. Look how awesome all these little custom dudes look. Big fan. 1 left. Almost. Well, we'll take a pot shot at that warp ramp because we're gonna draw down by our upper flipper here. Here we go. And nails it. Right loop multiplier at 2x.
3 in a row completed.
So 3 in a row in a column completed. It's not 3 in a row in the triangle, but 3 in a row in a column. So if you complete a 3 in a row in a column, so Space Jump level 1, 2, and 3, you've now lit a 2x multiplier on a specific shot for the rest of the game. And right now, that's on the right orbit. So they said it was lit. You can see the red arrow is lit over there. So now anytime I make a shot over there for the rest of the game, it'll be worth 2 times value, which not too shabby.
Save the Enterprise.
So let's play this out just a little bit more and we'll see how this goes. So once again, that Space Jump 1, 2, and 3, if you're playing Space Jump 2 and Space Jump 3, it will always be exactly what you saw there, in terms of 2 being that particular mode and 3 being that mode. So whatever shots you tend to find are easiest or most difficult for you, you can choose what modes you play based on that. So you can make a kind of educated decision that works best for you. And like I said before, there's variety in the different modes, and that, you know, if you play, you know, you're not necessarily going to play through all 18 modes in a single game every time you play. So maybe you just want to see, you know, what Save the Enterprise 3 looks like. So let's just play Save the Enterprise 1, 2, and 3 back to back to back and see what that looks like. Let's see if we can show off that first wizard mode. So once again, I'm going to use the away team here in order to make Prime Directive easier. Also, it's going to be in a way that is somewhat safer, and I can get to a gold medal because I'm a greedy person.
Jim, that's a cliff up ahead.
Nice thing is you can use that left orbit from either flipper and backhand it or forehand it. All you got to do is be able to get control of that ball again after it comes down. And then line up your top lanes. And now we just got to shoot it one more time. And that'll do it. That'll be our gold medal.
Jim, they're getting closer.
Now it'll go to final shot because we got the gold medal. All we got to do is make our shot to hopefully get towards starting another mission. There we go. So 3 in a row. Super ramps are lit. So now you just get extra points every time you hit a ramp. And Captain's chair will be flashing. So let's do Klingon Battle. So one thing I actually like to do here, and I'm going to demonstrate this now. This would be something I would have probably waited until a little later to demonstrate. Since I'd like to demonstrate getting to the wizard mode, at least the first one, we're going to use that Vengeance Multi-Ball by using our lasers to prep that multi-ball. So now, if we shoot the center, we can have Vengeance Multi-Ball running at the same time we're playing Klingon Battle. There we go. We hit that locked ball for an additional 3-ball multi-ball rather than a 2-ball multi-ball. And ideally, we're using the extra multi-ball time and safety in order to progress through the mode. Ideally faster and safer too. There's our gold medal. Alright, so now we can start another mode, which we did. Now let's just do Destroy the Drill.
One shot to land on that platform. Remember, the Enterprise won't be able to beam you back until you turn off that drill.
And out we go. So, decent first ball. Ideally, I want to play through these last two modes, Destroy the Drill and Nero here, so we can show off the Kobayashi Maru first wizard mode. Now, if you're having trouble making shots, that's okay. You don't always need to make all the shots. And, you know, you have that timer ticking down, and you can get out of these level 1s just by surviving. I have a hard time myself of not getting greedy and pushing in order to get the best medal that I can.
Enterprise, this is the target 5,000 meters.
And that was a quick death there. So on our last ball here on number 3.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
I have a reading.
So this would be an instance where if, say I were to lock a ball for Klingon Multi-Ball, it'd be a good time to start it, which is what happened here. Because once again, that'll keep me safe, hopefully, through the remainder of this Nero mode, so that we can get to that first wizard mode. Alright, well, we just lost 2. Oh, and that's unfortunate. Well, we played that out, I guess, for nothing. So, almost was able to show you Kobayashi Maru's wizard mode there. That's okay. Alright, so that's my demonstration of explaining the modes to you. So you can do level 1, level 2, level 3. You can play them in the order. You can play them 3 deep, 18 modes in total for you to play around with and see what you like and get some variety in play and have a good time with it. For me, a lot of times I just enjoy the ability to choose one and play all 3 levels of it and just try to accomplish that. It's a good way to mix things up too. And once again, the other big takeaway is please don't forget about the away team aspects. They do allow you to... Thank you for that. I thought I had turned all that off, but apparently some of that music is still hiding in the background. Much appreciated. But please keep in mind the away team stuff does sit there and allow you to really kind of push to go for those medals. Let the medals hopefully drive you to want to keep playing this game over and over again. For me, it tends to be a bit of a subconscious thing. I really do find that I enjoy the greed aspects, the building up something or really pushing for trying to survive in order to get the most out of it. And getting the medals is exactly that for me in this game. It's the mini crank it up, if you will, of a Metallica or a horde mode of a Walking Dead, where you're not necessarily building up a jackpot here, but you are pushing for that individual improvement by getting those medals. Now, quick note, why do you want these medals? You want them because when you go to these wizard modes, you will get additional points based on how many medals you've collected and also the quality of those medals. So gold will be worth more than bronze, will be worth more than silver. Once you get to those, you'll see it for yourself, and that'll be something that you can hopefully drive to want to do better at. That noted, the whole going 2 levels or 3 levels deep before you finish something will allow you to collect even more medals before you start that wizard mode. So you could start the first wizard mode by completing 6 modes. Or you could play, Space Jump 1, 2, and 3, like we just did, and then go to it, and then you'll have played 8 modes instead of 6, which means you could get 8 modes worth of medals brought in for more points. Once again, that whole greed aspect can really drive you to, say, do more than what you might have to. So, all right. That aside, I can go on and on, obviously, about the whole medals aspect and the modes, but make that the takeaway of the modes. They really drive that portion of the game and the depth of not only the variety, but the progress. Okay, last thing I want to go over is any of the extra little bits. To be honest, once again, this game isn't overly complex. You can follow the lights in order to know where to shoot. You just got to understand how it all works. And that being said, between the multi-balls and the missions or modes, that's the main aspect of the game, honestly. It's how you want to use those for yourself that builds how you play the game. So there's a few extra things that have occurred while we were playing that I didn't talk about, and I'll kind of clarify a couple of those now because they're worth noting. That being said, let's start at the bottom and kind of make our way up here. So on your left outlane, you've got a rescue light with a kickback. If you have a premium or LE edition, it's going to be a physical kickback. If it's a pro edition, it'll be a digital kickback or virtual kickback, where once it hits the switch, it knows it. It'll go into the trough, but it'll kick you out another ball. Here, the ball will get hit by a plunger that will kick it back out. Unfortunately, on the premium or LE, if it goes so fast down that outlane that the ball gets past the kickback, you will not get that back, and you will lose it. So physical pinball will screw you there. But there you go. There's your kickback on the left outlane. Now, once you've used it, you can relight that rescue by using the left side shield targets. You might have noticed those over there. So there's a 2 bank of stand-up targets on the left, and on the plastic above it, it calls it shields. So if you've used your rescue, you can complete that set of targets, I believe 2 or 3 times, and that will relight your rescue. Now, if you complete that bank 2 or 3 times and your rescue is already lit, then you will have burned your opportunity to relight it. You will have to wait until you use up your rescue in order to relight it. It doesn't stock them up or anything, nor does it wait. So, if you're one set of targets away from relighting it, maybe you don't want to try to hit those. But it's good to know how to relight that. That's what's the important takeaway there. All right, moving up further, we already talked about the weapons for the lasers on the right. So let me talk about the black hole a little bit. We've mentioned it a few times. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 targets associated with the black hole. There's a lot of little mini stand-up targets going around the table. 2 in the front of that ramp, 2 in the front of the left ramp, 1 over here on the left side, and then the black hole target itself over to the right of the Vengeance center shot drop target. So if you hit all the targets, it will start to light as you hit the targets, it will light the little circles underneath them. If you light all the circles, it will qualify the black hole mystery reward for you to collect. And you'll know it's ready to go because the arrow at the black hole will be flashing. So if you're able to have that available and you're playing normally, it will usually give you a random award, but based on your scenario, it can give you some expected results. So I mentioned it before, but for instance, if you're in a multi-ball, say for instance Klingon Multi-Ball or Vengeance Multi-Ball, or even Kobayashi Maru First Wizard Mode Multi-Ball, you will get an add-a-ball. But you can only do it one time. You can't just relight it and hit it again. You won't get a second add-a-ball. But you'll be basically guaranteed to get an add-a-ball the first time you hit black hole when you're in a multi-ball, which is very good to know, and it lets you keep the multi-ball going, which is very handy. So keep an eye on making sure to light the black hole and use that to your advantage. Another way is if you're in a mode, especially in the first level mode specifically, that are timed, if you hit the black hole, usually I believe you will always get a add time to that mode. Once again, giving you more of a chance to collect that wonderful, wonderful, sweet gold medal. So outside of that, you get other silly rewards like pops or spinner increase or just points. Nothing too crazy. Going up a little bit further, you've got the warp ramp on the left side, and every time you make the warp ramp, you increase the warp ramp number. So warp ramp 1, warp ramp 2, I'm sure you hear it calling that out as that shot gets made. Based on your specific machine, your rewards may vary, but mine is set to default, which is set to auto, so it'll auto scale based on your performance. But I would say at a stock default, if we reset everything, warp ramp 3 would net you an extra ball, or an extra ball light, that is. Extra ball is collected through the center vengeance shot. You've got the insert there saying extra ball. So warp ramp is one of your main ways to collect an extra ball in this game. So the warp ramp is very important. That being said, obviously it works as a shot as you're playing the regular game. But it will net you an extra ball. Mine at this point is built up to be warp ramp 7. So it's a little bit of doing in order to get that extra ball, but obviously that can go a long way. The other thing to mention about warp ramp is once you get to warp ramp 9, you'll have activated a double scoring mode. So you want to be a little bit conscious about that once you make that 9th warp ramp, it will set off a 60 seconds of double scoring. One way to use that to your advantage is don't make that 9th warp ramp shot until you're ready to do some double scoring. If you can't avoid it, that's fine. But if you can use it to your advantage, one good example is, say a Klingon Multi-Ball, or even better than that, right before you start a Kobayashi Maru or a Wizard Mode, like I'd mentioned before, you'll get a bonus for all the medals you've collected. But the only thing better than collecting a bonus from those medals is collecting twice the points of the bonus for those medals. And you can do that by activating your double scoring before you start that Wizard Mode. So yet another way to use that to your advantage. So there's some scoring strategies that can be had. And once again, the whole risk reward, you could be set up to start your Wizard Mode, but before you start it, maybe you are only 1 or 2 warp ramps away from double scoring. So instead of just taking your Wizard Mode as it is, you're going to risk it by trying to make some warp ramp loops just because you're greedy. Once again, that's part of the excitement of the game, is kind of doing those types of things and getting that payoff. So it's good to know that exists. And then more or less at the top, you've got your top lanes, which is Beam Me Up. At the top lanes, they pretty much act as your standard multiplier at bonus time at the end. So complete the set of top lanes to get a increase from 1x plus 1x onto your end of ball bonus. And to be honest, the end of ball bonus can add up pretty decent in this game. If you have a decent ball with a good bonus, I believe on one of those games we had like 19 million end of ball bonus. It can get pretty decent. I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. So certainly worth juggling the upper lanes at the top to get those bonuses. One thing I actually didn't really mention, and I'll mention it even though it's fairly worthless and kind of sad that they didn't do anything good with it. these in lanes that spell trek, by the way. If you complete the lanes that spell trek, you will increase your spinner value. It doesn't get high enough to really matter, but you can do it. If someone's got a great spinner scoring strategy, wonderful. Maybe they play into super spinner and add some value. Never really thought much of it. I mean, I just subconsciously collect and shift them to spell trek. But it doesn't do much for you. Don't pay it too much mind. And there you go. That's the main brunt of what's going on here on Star Trek. So I was expecting to do a little bit more strategy talk and example gameplay, which our missions kind of went into that more than I anticipated, which is not a bad thing. But let's close this out by me talking a little bit about a strategy as to how I normally play, and then I'll do a game where I try to attempt that with some commentary on top. That being said, here we go. So this is my quick explanation if all you want to hear is what should you do if you're playing this game. And there's a couple different ways to play this. So I'm gonna preface it with that. If you're looking for tournament strategy, this is probably not the best way I'm not the best guy to ask for something like that. I don't tend to play my games usually for tournament style rules or playing for points. I'm more of an objective type person. So I like the idea of completing the modes. Doesn't mean I don't like points. Doesn't mean I don't like the greed of getting more points by getting the medals and double scoring stuff. But that's not viable strategy and safe points. That's that fun risk reward stuff that you can go for. So the best thing I can offer is understand, how these modes work. And then choose modes that you're most comfortable with. Things like Prime Directive are really good for making safer shots and collecting points on those shots and getting kind of your gold medals. I tend to notice trying to work in a multi-ball with a particular mode. I've got some personal favorites. I'm sure you can come up with your own personal favorites. But so for instance, me, if I'm going to use Vengeance Multi-Ball, I would like to use that with Klingon Battle. And the main reason is the shots line up really well. Klingon Battle shots I use the ramps mostly. And with the Vengeance Multi-Ball, you're using the ramps in the center. So you're going to get a lot of double up and double points for your shooting. And it's a good way to go about that. So I like to stack Klingon Battle with Vengeance Multi-Ball. And as far as Klingon Multi-Ball is concerned, I usually like to mix that with Nero, given the opportunity, to be honest. And that's mostly because Nero can tend to be a little bit more challenging or more deadly, especially if you use the away team on Nero. The Nero away team will end up lighting the 6 black hole stand-up targets in order to progress, and no longer any of the shots count. So shooting those stand-ups are not safe ways to play. So playing that within a multi-ball can be a better, safer way to go. That being said, I like to link Nero with, if I know I'm got 2 locked, I will end up using the Klingon Multi-Ball with Nero and Klingon Battle with Vengeance. So a lot of times when I play, I'll keep that in mind. So I won't play Klingon Battle or Nero first. I will kind of progress those multi-balls a bit. A lot of times I either do Prime Directive first, because I tend to find that to be one of the easiest ones to crank out for some points, or like doing Space Jump first because it's faster. Sometimes I'm in the mood to go 2 or 3 deep to try to build up more medals, and I like to do that with Space Jump usually, because Space Jump 2 tends to be a pretty easy, safe set of shots. 6 shots, not that bad. None of them are challenging shots. None of them are overly dangerous shots. No warp ramps needed. So those are my kind of starting points. Save the Enterprise is another fairly safe one to do personally. For some reason, I'm not a big fan of Destroy the Drill. I probably shouldn't hate it as much as I do, but for some reason, I don't really like it. There's some scoring aspects to Destroy the Drill, though, that can really stack up. Honestly, I don't know how the scoring on Destroy the Drill really works, but I've seen some big scores come out of that single level 1 mode. So there's some scores that can be had. I don't necessarily know how they are going to happen. So that's my quick strategy, if you will. Play Prime Directive or Space Jump first, and as you're building up your multi-balls, I like to link Klingon Battle with Vengeance and Nero with Klingon Multi-Ball. One final thing to note, and I didn't really mention this before in my little last overview, and I probably should mention it at some point during this video, which is the Vengeance. I didn't get around to really showing that off, and I was going to do it during this demo game, hopefully, by making some good progress. But we talked about extra ball. You get the extra ball through the warp ramp. There's a second extra ball in the game, which it comes from the second mode in the Vengeance. So after you play your Vengeance multi-ball, that hurry up, that second Vengeance hurry up, if you complete that, you'll be awarded a extra ball. It's a dangerous way to get an extra ball, but it's one of the only ways to get an extra ball outside of the warp ramp. So if you got a decent game going, it's once again another risk-reward scenario where maybe you want to get that game going a little bit deeper, but you can easily get just totally borked by trying to complete that second round of Vengeance. All right, let's go here. We're going to go for Space Jump. Another thing I didn't really talk about, because honestly I don't really use it myself, but there is a skill shot in the game, or a super skill shot if you will. Plunging to the back in the top lanes, you don't have a flashing one like a standard game, but if you hold down your left flipper and you plunge, the ball will go all the way around. It'll light up one of the shots, and if you hit that shot, you'll get like 1,000,000 points. I don't do it because I'd rather have the ball feed to the upper flipper and use that ball save time to try to make warp ramps, because that'll get me closer to an extra ball. To me, that's the better long play than just shooting a shot for 1,000,000 points. But it's important to mention it so that you know that it's there. So here we go, we feed down. I go for the warp ramp, fail, that's all right. We didn't die, which is fine. Space Jump is nice because it's quick. So I go for the one shot
There is debris directly ahead.
with the idea of
Damn it, Jim.
getting into the away team, only to tilt, and then have that be over. So that was not the greatest start. But since we made it into a away team, it ended the mode. So there you go. So now we're just going to go to Prime Directive and hopefully not tilt out immediately. So once again, feed down, trying to get the quick shot. And here's another one where I really do like to use the away team to my advantage, because I tend to find it is such a quick and easy way to get to a gold medal and out of this mode. So we're already considered as making 4 shots. 2 initially.
Jim, that's a clip up ahead.
A third one through the away team shot, and then a 4th one on the top lane. Now we just made 2 more shots by making the shot in the top lane, so it's 6 shots total. We're at a silver medal.
We're gonna have to jump.
So ideally, I just need to make it 1 more time to get to 8. If I line it up right, that's 8. Now technically, if I was out of time, my final shot would allow me to finish it with 9, which is a gold medal, or I can make another shot and get my gold medal. That'll take the rest of the timer down to 0. So all I gotta do is trap up,
Jim, they're getting closer.
and I get the final shot, and hopefully we can do that and get our mission select. Go.
Gold medal.
Alright, so we're just gonna continue around the horn here, because ideally, sometimes, you know, if I'd like to really push it, I'll go for maybe 2 deep on Space Jump, but sometimes you gotta read the room. I've already lost the ball early, so at this point, I don't want to really risk playing an extra mode, because ideally it would be nice to get to the wizard mode. So this is where sometimes I could sit there and hold the ball, but instead it's more exciting to shoot. Going back and forth between these ramps can be very enticing. 10 seconds. If I make 2 more shots, that'll put me at 8 total, which is now unlikely. All right, we are out of time. There we go. We're out of there. So we got our silver medal. That's fine. We didn't get to gold.
3 in a row.
3 in a row.
Super ramps are
So
fit.
here's another thing, right? Super ramps are the ramps. Klingon Battle is a lot of ramps. And Vengeance Multi-Ball is ramps. So I'm going to try to line those 3 things up all at once here. Now, I don't know how many shots I've made on the Vengeance to get it started, but if I do have any lasers, we're going to use them. And I don't. So I'm not using them. And we've got some lasers now. So let's use some lasers to get access to Vengeance Multi-Ball. And then boom, there you go. So now ideally I want to hit that lock ball so I can get to a 3-ball. Multi-ball here. If I run out of time, 9 seconds. There it is. So ideally what I want is when I'm done with this to be out of this mode. I got a silver medal, which isn't that bad. Trying to get control here if I can. Okay, I got control. I can use a couple lasers if I want. I'll use 2. All right, let's see if we can. There we go. Oh, and then we died immediately. I'm not going to push it. We could have shot one more at it, but. And we just relit our rescue there by hitting those shield targets on the left, which was nice. So ball 1 lock, need to take a good note of that. That being said, we're going to go destroy the drill first instead of Nero because we're only at lock 1 on Klingon. Here's where me paying more attention to what's going on is going to help me choose which one I want to go for. All right, so here's where I'm going to do a little risk-reward action, all right? I know I'm on ball 2, so if I lose this ball, it's not the end of the world. But we got through our first Vengeance. I'm going to go for Vengeance 2, not only to just show it off, but 2, we might get an extra ball out of it. So I'm going to just use my lasers to get access to Vengeance. Vengeance scoring is now ready. That's number 2. So you got to shoot the center in order to access it. Boom, there we go. So shoot the Vengeance ship. They want you to shoot it a few times. 5 times to be exact. But what's going to happen is every time you shoot it, you can see the scores counting down. So your time, you're going to get a kickback every time you make the shot. Luckily, those first 2 kickbacks were quite weak.
Parachute.
And I think, yep, there's the timer running out. So we didn't do it, but we didn't die, which was nice. So, took a risk. Didn't quite do it, but that's okay. If we would have done it, we would have got an extra ball. So now we're going to go to Nero, which is our last of our 6 level 1 modes. Which if we get through this, we can start
Powering up their weapons.
Kobayashi Maru or the first wizard mode. So this is an instance where understanding the away team situation is important, because if I just shoot away team now, I'll get more time, but I will have nothing but dangerous shots left. And I gotta sit there for 30 seconds to shoot dangerous shots, and that's not what I want to do. Alright. So I only got a bronze medal. But Kobayashi Maru is ready. So you can see now I don't have the opportunity, once you finish that 6th mode, to start another mode. So once you're able to start Kobayashi Maru or the first wizard mode, there's no getting out of it, no going back. But I mentioned before, warp ramps. Warp ramp's still available. I could go for that and try to shoot a warp ramp. But let's not do that. So we're going to go shoot for the center, obviously. That's what it wants me to do. And it'll start us into our Kobayashi Maru. So the medal count, here it comes. Kind of weak. Leaves a lot to be desired. But therein lies the draw. 14.5 million just for that semi-poor medal performance. So here you go. Here's Kobayashi. Shoot the flashing insignias. 6 shots around the table. They want you to shoot those 6. 2-ball multi-ball. Shoot each of the 6 2 times. Now, like I mentioned before, you do have that black hole add-a-ball, which I basically hit immediately because black hole was lit. So we're up to a 3-ball multi-ball here, even though this is normally a 2-ball multi-ball. You get a decent-sized ball save with this. So you have to hit each of the 6 insignias 2 times. The first time you hit it, it's worth a little, but the second time you hit it, it's definitely worth more. What do we get for that? So there's 4.5 million.
Another cruiser down.
You can take your time here. There's no time limit.
We've been hit.
And that's gone.
Battle cruiser destroyed, Captain.
So there's a black hole award, but I already had, oh, that's gone. So once that's gone, that's it. Down to 1 ball. Kobayashi's over, 36 million. Not the worst thing ever, but now we got to go to level 2s. So I'll start at Space Jump level 2, since to me that's one of the easier ones. And we're dead. Alright, so now with this last ball, you could start, we're in the 24 million on the bonus, not too shabby. You could choose a different mode. Let's go with Nero 2. Now here's an instance where I probably wouldn't normally do this, but we're going to go for this anyway. I did mention about the 3 different modes of vengeance. So I can use my lasers to try to access the last vengeance mode. One more will access it up. I've got 2 lasers left. Let's do it. Vengeance Battle is the 3rd one. Shoot it up the center for Vengeance Battle. So, shoot the Vengeance for sudden death. Once again, just follow the rules. Follow what it's telling you to do. It says I've got 5 shots left. 4 more to start Vengeance Sudden Death. As you can tell, this isn't necessarily the type of shooting that you want to be doing. Another thing to note with Vengeance Battle, if you do get to the point where you're going to run this, is it will lock you out from being able to start another mode until you finish this mode. This is not a time thing. So you better hope you either do it or die. One or the other. That's how it's going to work. So we got 2 shots left. 1 more to go. Alright, so now we got to shoot the drop target. The easier thing to do, there we go. Once we shoot the drop target, now we got to get it into the Vengeance to get 10% of our score. And we did it. So we just got 10% of our score for doing all that. You actually have kind of not a really big window to accomplish that task. Once you knock down the drop target, it will go back up. And then you have to hit it down again to get access. So the thing about that can really cause trouble is that it can tie you into a mode or stop you from starting another mode until you're at a point where you really actually want to, maybe you want to start another mode and you don't want to have to finish that. But yeah. So there's my gold medal from hitting enough of the flashing shots. Alright, so now we've got Nero 2 complete. Once again, we're sitting here trying to start another mode. There we go. So I could go Nero 3 if I wanted to and get risky, or I could go for another level 2 mode. This is another one that I don't mind so much. It's 6 shots, there's no timer, and the ones you need to shoot, the flashing ones, don't tend to be too bad. So there's one there. There's another one. We've already got our bronze medal. There's another one. Now, you can see that the next shot for flashing is the ramp, but we're just going to ignore that and hit the easier other ramp. Now we can just hit the drop target. And then our final shot, and we already got our gold medal, but we'll collect the extra points of hitting that shot anyway. Save the Enterprise 2, all set. This is the point where you probably wish you would have another ball. All right, back to Space Jump 2 here. Let's go. Well, there goes all that. Not making a lot of progress there. But there you go. That's an example of a game with some commentary as far as the way I generally would try to play. Once again, that's tying together using the multi-balls in order to help me progress through more modes, so I can try to get as many medals as I can and go play wizard mode and bank up as much as possible. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But when you can get all the certain things to align nicely, it can be very, very satisfying. So there you go. That is the completion of this tutorial on Stern Star Trek Premium, or really more or less any of the editions all play fairly similar. Hopefully that was helpful for some of you, and hopefully the next time you play some Star Trek, you can try and have a good time playing it, and maybe have a better idea of what it is you're going for. All right, thank you very much, and have a wonderful night.